Good luck to us. That's all I can say about that. Good luck to us today. All right. All right, let's call our meeting to order, please. It is 7 o'clock on Wednesday, October the 8th at 7. Roll call, please.
Owen Costanzo. Here. Sine Hubbard.
Here.
Jeff Goings. Mark Vance.
Here.
Dan Sheik.
Here.
David Allgood.
Here.
Trustee Richardson.
Here. Let's have the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Let's stand.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need approval for phone participation of Owen Costanza
So moved.
by Dan, second by Dave. Roll call, please.
Owen Costanzo. Sine Hubbard. Jeff Goings. Mark Vance.
Yes.
Dan Sheik.
Yes.
David Allgood.
Okay, phone participation is approved. I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion?
Motion by Mark.
I'd like the motion to amend
Sine.
the agenda.
Okay.
To
Motion.
move item 6 and 7, a new business, above item number 2, an unfinished business.
Second?
Second by Mark. Roll call, please.
Mark Vance.
Yes.
Jeff Goings. David Allgood.
Yes.
Sine Hubbard. Yes. Owen Costanzo.
Yes.
Dan Sheik.
Yes.
We have amended, right?
That was the motion. to
Amend.
the
So now we
agenda.
have to do that one.
Yeah,
So we need a motion to approve as amended, please.
Move to approve as amended.
Motion by Dan, second by Sine, and a roll call, please.
Dan Sheik.
Yes.
Owen Costanzo.
Yes.
David Allgood.
Yes.
Mark Vance.
Yes.
Jeff Goings. Sine Hubbard. Yes.
Motion as amended passes. So we're gonna have 6 and 7, 3, 4, 2. Perfect. Okay, do we have a motion to approve Board of Trustee meeting minutes from September the 10th, 2025?
Motion to approve meeting minutes September 10th, 2025.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Dan. Any questions or comments here? Roll call, please.
Mark Vance.
Yes.
Sine Hubbard. Yes. Owen Costanzo. Yes. Jeff Goings. Dan Sheik.
Yes.
David Allgood.
Abstain.
Okay. Let's see. So motion so Board of Trustee meetings minutes for September 10th is approved. I had to go do my math. All right. There are no other public comment other than Ravenscrest, correct? Okay. All right. So we're gonna have 6. I don't know what the proclamation is for. Permit reports. All right, so we need a motion to discuss fiscal 2025 audit presentation by Lauterbach and Ammann.
Motion to discuss fiscal year 2025 audit presentation by Lauterbach and Ammann.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Dan.
Hey, good evening. I am Jen Martinson with Lauterbach and Ammann, here, of course, to present the audit results for the fiscal year ended April 30th, 2025. Before we get started, I do want to thank Anna and then, of course, Christy, who also rolled up her sleeves during this audit process to make sure things could go smoothly, for all of their hard work. So it definitely takes a team effort, a lot of coordination and communication. So we really appreciate all of their hard work in preparing for the audit. So thank you. Thanks. As the board knows, state statute requires that the village undergo an independent audit each fiscal cycle. And really the goal of the audit is for us as your auditors to ultimately provide an opinion on the financial statements presented this evening. So through our audit procedures and our review of the internal control environment for the village, we have provided an unmodified or clean audit opinion. So that's the highest opinion that we can issue. And that really just means that the financial statements are materially correct or do in fact accurately represent the financial position of the village. So probably most important piece of the presentation this evening is we have that clean, unmodified opinion. I know there's a lot of information in the report in front of you, so I do just want to encourage you to spend some time in what we call the MD&A, or Management's Discussion and Analysis, which starts on page 8. So that's really the narrative summary to the financial statement. So it's going to touch on all of the highlights for the fiscal year, some changes from the prior year to the current year. So really just a handful of pages. If you read through those, you'll have a full understanding of the financials for the year. So certainly encourage you to spend your time there. Overall for the village, there was an increase in governmental funds, or surplus of revenues over expenditures, of approximately $500,000, with ending fund balances of just over $5 million, of which about $2.9 million of that fund balance is in your general or your operating fund. And as we have discussed in previous years, some of those funds are restricted specifically, and you can see some more detail on the restricted funds for fund balances on page 49 further throughout the report in your footnotes. Additionally, I did want to point out the budgetary comparison schedules towards the back of the report, starting on page 66, where if the board would like, you could review in more detail the budget versus the actual financial results for the year in more detail for revenues and expenditures. Finally, the last page I wanted to point out was page 82, all the way in the very back. Just kind of a unique schedule there where you can see 10 years of trend information for property tax collections all in one place. Additionally, you will note throughout the report that there was a restatement that I did want to point out. So that's really just a correction you'll see this year for fixed assets. So there was no restatement or correction or change to beginning fund balances, really just to beginning fixed assets and the net position related to the village's fixed assets. So we did have to point that out. Finally, I'd be required to communicate if we had any difficulties during the audit or disagreements with management, and I'm happy to say that we did not. I know we do have that smaller report with the management letter comments. There really were no new comments this year. So we had no additional recommendations, no new findings, nothing like that. There are a few upcoming GASB, or Governmental Accounting Standards Board statements. We'll have to work with the village to be sure that those are implemented in future years. Otherwise, it was a smooth audit process. We have that unmodified clean opinion, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, board? No. It's a lot to digest. For sure.
Yeah, a lot of information. So really, as I mentioned, the MD&A is super helpful. Kind of a Cliff Notes version of the audit.
Are there recommendations in the book anywhere?
It was that smaller packet.
Oh, the little pamphlet?
Yes. And we can talk through those if you'd like. So as I mentioned, there was nothing new this year. I know Trustee is working to do some more research on the recapture agreement that's been in place. The capital replacement fund did come in slightly over budget again. And then we've discussed in the prior year some of those credit card procedures, and the village has worked to create a policy, and we do anticipate that that would be implemented in the upcoming audit cycle.
Can you give us a brief overview on item number 2 in the management letter?
The fund over budget?
Yes.
Yes, so the capital replacement fund did come in over budget, and we're required to communicate that with the board, as you of course have approved a budget throughout your processes. So through our procedures, then we would be sure to let you know that that has occurred. And it looks like there was a management response provided, I assume, either by Trustee or Anna there, that it was specifically related to the cost of the Public Works building.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
With that being said, motion to discuss and approve resolution 2025-23, a resolution of the Village of Poplar Grove, Illinois, approving the annual audit for the fiscal year, May 1st, 2024 to April 30th, 2025.
Move to discuss approve resolution 2025-23.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Dan. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mark Vance,
Yes.
Jeff Goins, David Allgood,
Yes.
Sine Hubbard, Owen Costanza, Dan Sheik.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-23 passes. Now, back to number 2. Motion to discuss 100 South State Street, the Old Village Hall building.
Madam
Motion to
President,
discuss.
are we skipping over public comment totally here?
Yeah, we moved 6 and 7 so that we could go
Just before public comment, but I think all of the public comments are for agenda items.
for Ravens Crest.
So they're all going to be item related,
They're all
including the
item
yellow ones?
related.
Yes.
Mhm, every single one of them.
Yep.
So just for the public's knowledge, when in Poplar Grove, public comment is allowed on specific agenda items. If you fill out a sheet, all of these have indicated a specific agenda item. So when we get to that agenda item, we'll go down the list and we'll call each and every person that signed up, and they'll be allowed to make public comment.
Pardon my imposition. I just thought I'd seen 2 different colors, so I thought we had public comment.
You did, just, it was just a wrong form that got used, that's all.
Yep.
I yield.
Thank you, sir.
So we do have a motion, and that motion to discuss State Street, I believe, was made by Trustee Vance.
I was almost there. Yeah, motion to discuss 100 South State Street, Old Village Hall building.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Dan. Okay, I'll lead off on this one. So we've been talking on and off about what to do with this particular asset. And so we had brought it up earlier. There was a potential renter who is not in a position at this point to rent the space, which I had indicated to the board, even such that we should decide what to do with this building. There had been other discussion about what to do with it. I had sent out earlier to the board, as I had posted a message to residents as to what their thoughts were, and got quite a lively discussion. And I sent those to the board. I had summarized those for you as well, just kind of their thoughts on whether to sell it, to rent it, to use it as a community space. So I thought we would continue that discussion based on the past previous decision comments that we had made, and then with that new input from residents. So I would love to hear what the board has to say.
So the interest was withdrawn again?
They've leased another building.
Oh, did they? Okay, they got the, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But did you notice that there was terms and conditions with that it was going to be at a reduced rate than what we'd been charging in the past? Again, I think you've heard it said in this boardroom in the past. I'm going to say it again. I don't think the village needs to be in the landlord business. We either need to turn this into a community space, or we need to liquidate the asset. You know, I see so much interesting comment in public about this building could be a $7,000 a year revenue stream for the village. Now, that's entirely not the case. When you start taking into account the ancillary maintenance, and when you deduct items that were included in that estimate, such as the utilities that the village wouldn't be paying, I mean, that simply would not have been an accurate number to be put out there. It seemed as though I read through all the comments, and I read through what you had put out. And quite honestly, it seems as though public opinion is leaning, or should be leading us away from renting the building.
That's not the summary that I had provided you
All
based
the
on the
public
comments,
comments
unless,
that I read on your thread on Facebook, there were probably 3 that said rent it, and 2 of them from the same person. And there were a lot of comments on there that talked about making it a community space or a lending library or doing something else functional with it for the village. So, I mean, that's kind of my position with it. We have not had good luck with renting this building. The last tenant that was in there, we approved their lease and come to find out that they moved out after we approved the lease, and they just moved out without notice. I don't think we've ever really had a stable tenant in that building for a long term. I don't know if it's the location of the building. I don't know if it's size restrictive. I don't know what it is that causes such a high turnover. But I think that we either need to find a different purpose for the building or liquidate the asset.
Thank you. Sine?
There's a reason we can't sell it, right? Isn't it?
The well house, the
It's on.
well house is attached to
Okay,
the back of
okay,
it pretty
that's
much.
what it is. Thank you, I forgot. What do we feel is the burden of the maintenance? What is the burden right now, like financially, the maintenance of this every month or every year? It looks like there are some things that are definitely in disrepair, and I'm just curious about like the burden on us in that capacity.
Well, I can't speak. I mean, David probably could answer.
Previously, she had been there for 4 years. So as far as maintenance responsibilities, we had limited maintenance during that time period. We did have to replace the HVAC unit. As of right now, we have not taken any action with the building, waiting to see what the plan was going forward.
Okay,
I will say, depending on what the use of space is, flooring needs to come out, walls need to come out. There is a lot of electrical that needs to be addressed.
okay.
I've taken a great look at the bathroom situation, but I imagine plumbing and things of that nature. Again, previous use was dog grooming area, wet floors, wet walls, things of that nature.
Yeah.
It is a drop ceiling in portions. I have to look at that a little closer. Again, depending on the use, there's a substantial amount of work that needs to go into it to make it a more usable space, depending on what that use is.
If we were to, is it possible for you to guesstimate a dollar amount?
Dollar amount.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
I will say this, I think if it ends up becoming some community space where there's regular usage, I would be inclined to say that most of that building would need to be gutted. And
Okay, that is good information.
damage from previous roof damage, there's a lot that will need to be addressed.
Okay. Thank you. That's valuable information because I do feel like there was a significant amount of people that had a lot of good suggestions for, community spaces and things like that. If we could load it up with books and have space for tutoring or, even if someone was going to rent the space for a party or something like that. But that information is helpful because it sounds like we're in a position where it's.
I know the walls and floors need to be addressed. I know the ceiling needs to be addressed. Or imagine electrical issues.
But sitting there alone right now, there's nothing like imminently in danger.
No,
Okay,
no,
okay,
it is operational. Again, it depends on what you use.
okay.
It's a high space for what she was using it for.
Yeah.
Depending on what it's used for, you need to make adjustments.
Yeah, and I think that if we did have it as a community space, that would also probably incur some regular maintenance costs on us too. Oh, go ahead.
In your opinion, do the current repairs exceed $4,800? I use that number 4,800 because based on $400 a month, 12 months, that is the amount that would be collected by the village for renting that space. So if the village had to go in and spend twice that, which might not be unreasonable if you have issues with electrical and so on, it could be 2 years before we break even.
Dan?
Well, what's being said, honestly, I think the building needs to be assessed, need to do a full assessment. A full assessment before we even move any further with this. And I mean, I'm not against the community, building, but, we've had issues in the past where we didn't want to spend the money on the auto locks for the bathrooms. Are you still having issues with these bathrooms out here? Now, no, that's over. I know that was a lot of, I don't know if the new board members knew that, but I mean, either way, I think it needs a full assessment, whichever road we go down. I think we're putting the cart before the horse. We need to see what shape that building's in
I agree with that.
and make a decision from there.
Absolutely.
And then this was just for discussion anyways, right?
All right, so it looks like the board has come to consensus. David, to have an assessment on the cost of repairs, please and thank you. Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Can you have a turn? Absolutely. I'm sorry, did you?
Oh,
want to
okay.
speak?
It's hard to hear who was talking. So I completely agree with Trustee Allgood. Yeah, I mean, if we can't partner with somebody in the community, one of the churches, youth groups, roads running youth group to help us manage community space, then the village is doing nothing but growing. And with our record keeping, since we lost our storage at the public works building, either use it for community space for our kids to have someplace safe to go, or we use it for storage for our documents. So I agree with Dave.
Anything else, sir?
That's all I got on that.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to number 3, motion to discuss Ravens Crest sign and entrance.
Second.
Motion by Sine, second by Dave. All right,
Do you want to go with the public?
Yes,
comment first?
please.
Okay.
yes.
So the first individual we have signed up for public comment is Larry Snyder. That'd be great if you could take the mic. Thank you.
I think my limit is 3 minutes, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Give or
I
take.
wrote a lot down and I found out if I timed it, I did not have a lot of time, so I just going to pick points here. The subdivision was built way back in 1997, the entrance at a cost per Lund Hofbauer of about 28,000. Today's bucks, that's 54,000, just to give you a feel. Why did they build it? Because they were trying to attract home buyers, right? If you take away that entrance, the resale value of our homes really drops. And we've got a realtor out to look at that. They agreed. So that's one point. How did we get here? We're not sure. We were working with Jeff Goings, and we thought we were kind of in sync with the board. And I guess to some extent we were not. So what we understood and what I think you guys are understanding may be slightly different. That's the reason we asked for comment here. Can we straighten anything out? Is there anything understanding wise we didn't get to you? Okay. So number one, after we moved in 1999, the wife and I took care of that. It got to be in disrepair. We would buy materials like Roundup and try to treat the weeds, go in and treat the flower beds and so forth. We got to the point where we just got too old, okay? Making it simple. And we came in several times asking for, gee, it's 22 bucks for Roundup. Could you reimburse us? The answer was no. So eventually we got to the point where we just said, let it go. And it did let go. It got to weeds and looking bad. People would throw oil cans in there. And we objected. We came in several times and objected to the trustees. Not much was done. So eventually we got to the point of it was maintained was the term. And that was what you see today. That was called maintained to us. We went and did a little survey out of people out of Pacemaker just for fun. We showed them the pictures that are back on the table, said, would you call this maintenance, or what word would you use this? I didn't give them a lead. And 8 people out of 12 came up with destroyed. I can't use the words some other people use. It's being recorded. So they said, no, it's screwed up, okay, essentially. And let's see. We did research for about a year, trying to find a lower cost solution to the sign. And we did, one that was guaranteed for life. And that is in the shop, according to Christie, right? So we have the sign, it's just not put up yet. And we're past the planting season, so we can't do that. One other point I wanted to make clear was, we were told that the trees died of a disease, and that's highly unlikely. There were 4 trees planted at the same time. They were 25 years old, 24 years old. These were specially designed trees to be disease resistant by the University of Illinois Urbana. And for all 4 of them to go at one time, unlikely. So also, I challenge you to take your phone and Google, can common weed killer kill trees? And the answer is absolutely. Go down them by brand name, and you can kill trees with any weed killer. Okay? So in our opinion, basically they got killed, all the grass got killed, all the plants got killed, and the monument was removed. All right. We have a safety problem, and I think Yvonne will address the safety problem. And Tracy is going to tell you what we did the last 2 years roughly and summarize what kinds of things we went through and what we looked at and so forth. So with that, is there any questions I can answer? You introduce each person?
I will call them, yes. Next, we have Tracy Tartaglia.
All right, so I'm Tracy. Myself, Yvonne, and Larry, we developed a plan to restore and beautify the median at the entrance of our subdivision. So last spring and summer, we dedicated many hours researching, designing a plan that would both enhance our neighborhood's appearance and remain low maintenance and cost effective. So we visited several stores to find the best stone materials, we researched trees and plants that would thrive with minimal upkeep. We considered the cost. So actually we came and revised our plans since now we have a sign. Really all we're asking for right now is just our 3 trees or 4 trees. And that way we can make sure that, you know, we want our entrance back to life. We want our, you know, subdivision to look back to what it was before. So, okay, thank you. Thank you.
James Trigger.
Actually, that sign and those trees were planted in 1996. I was up here doing hardwood flooring in some of these houses. I live right there on the corner. I watched the village guys come in and spray the hell out of that area. They sprayed it so heavy, it was unbelievable. In 2013, I watched the county come in and plow their snow up against the sign. They're the ones who cracked the curb. Okay? These people, you guys need to be held accountable for what you're doing. If you're damaging it, repair it, replace it, figure out how to make it maintenance free. But killing it and digging it out, and you dug all the dirt out, so we can't even do soil samples. Let's replace it and repair it to its original. That's what we want. I live right there. I watched it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Yvonne Sarver. Sover, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not used to talking in front of people, so I'm gonna read a little bit, just to make sure I don't forget something. We respectfully urge the village to take immediate action to repair and restore the entrance to our subdivision. The current condition of the area created after the village's decision to tear down the existing structures has become a serious safety hazard for drivers, pedestrians, and residents alike. Several accidents and near misses have already occurred, making it clear the current situation is not sustainable. And this is mainly because it's so level and you can't see where it is when you're turning in and out of there. I was standing on my front yard and my grandchildren, and last weekend I saw someone just take their tire out with it, blew it out. I mean, it's still happening. It's also important to note that the previously discussed restoration plan offered from Tracy, but I'm really more concerned with, besides the trees, is the height being built back up, because that's what's going to make it safer. Yeah, we need a cost-effective and community-friendly solution than the more cost-effective and friendly than the current estimate we saw to simply eliminate and pave over the area. Those original plans not only preserved the character of the neighborhood, but also represented a significant cost savings for the village compared to this estimated expense of removal and repaving. As taxpayers and residents, we urge the village to act responsibly by reinstating the safer, more practical, and more affordable restoration option. Promptly addressing the issue will prevent further safety risks, avoid unnecessary spending, and demonstrate the village's commitment to the well-being of its community. That's all I got.
That's all we have for public comment on that issue.
Said we're just waiting on a sign, correct?
No, the sign's in.
Oh, it's done?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in. It's
And
sitting at
I know, I
Poplar.
thought we approved that. It is,
Yep.
I knew we were waiting on putting it
Sounds a
in.
lot more significant than just a sign.
I guess my question is, I heard Bill mention it a couple of times, was it like domed? I mean, I never really paid that much attention, to be honest. But I mean, okay, that's what I was wondering, because I know the curbs are there. I didn't know if there was a potential for erosion. What was there? I honestly, I mean, other than pulling out of the post office, I really never paid much attention to it. I seen the sign and the brick, but I never really, and I've been here forever. I watched that place get built. I just didn't realize it was a good, I kept hearing you guys mention the height, and didn't recall a dome of sorts, I guess would be the way to put it. So what material was in there prior, Dave? Just dirt and was some kind of,
First year here, it was grass.
was it like landscaping or something to hold it in? Yeah.
There were flagpoles that somebody came out and stole them back in 2000. There was what, three, four flagpoles in there?
Okay.
Three flagpoles, 4 trees, and nice.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt everyone, but once public comment is done, then the discussion, when it becomes the actual motion item, the discussion has to be limited to the discussion of the board. And then if the board asks a question, or if the board asks a question of the audience, then certainly the board would yield, audience members time to speak. But at this point, it's just board discussion.
And then one more, I guess, for Dave. I know that was a Jeff scenario, his baby. Did you guys come up with any more plan than the sign at all? No, it's kind of just dead in the water. Oh yeah, with the sign evaluations. Correct. All right. But that one is actually on village property. If remember. But that's not the circumstance for the rest of the village. That's not the circumstance for the rest of the signage. Yeah.
Some are two on private property. There's 3 outside of the right of way. Like half on, right, half off. And then there's obviously the HOA.
So a couple of unique scenarios for signage throughout the town.
And then there's 2 signs that are So this goes back to the discussion we had 2 months ago.
Yep.
Who owns it? How do we take care of it? How did we inherit it? What do we do with it now? Who legally owns it? But then, you got to start asking other questions. Questions like, would the residents in that area be willing to make that their own community project that would be sanctioned by the village? Other questions like, during the wintertime, do you not heavily salt the intersections to help improve traffic safety? And where does all that salt go? It goes right into the median. How many forms of foliage and trees and plants survive that kind of abuse? This is not the only median we've had issues with growth because of high salt usage. This is, Obviously, most of these medians are abutting stop signs going out. right, so this goes back to saying, we could spend all kinds of money planting it, making it green again, just to kill it, to make the roads safe again at the intersections. So, this is a hard one for me because I was not in favor of replacing the sign to begin with. But I don't know. This be tough, but you would not want to leave it to me to make the decision because I'd turn it into asphalt.
Yeah, I mean, maintenance on an asphalt road is gonna cost more to put in initially, obviously.
Yeah.
The long-term maintenance is
Right. If the residents that live there wanted to make it a community project and maintain it, I believe that maybe we would be willing to support that. What do you think?
So I have mixed feelings, and I'll be honest. So I don't like to see the space in its current condition left, which is why I brought it back to the board at the first place. The original proposal that I had seen for landscaping requests was an $8,300 proposal,
Right.
in which Trustee Goings at the time also said that there was no way that the board was going to be able to get behind that, and I think that is still the case. So we came forth with the sign. We had back and forth discussions. Now it sounds as though they're only asking for trees versus the laundry list of items that were here in the first place. The thing that we have to recognize is whatever the decision is, if I don't have a problem with community engagement, the issue is what is the plan when it doesn't work? So what happens when, because there's not an HOA here, and if this group decides they don't want to maintain it, what happens? And I think that that's the part that in the past it's been a struggle. So the other places where we have HOAs, we have, basically agreements with those HOAs, that let us have the precautions for when it doesn't work. The other issues we have had in the discussions about the potential trees is if in that particular area, and I know that there were trees there before, I've seen the pictures, is that the trees is also aligned on either side of the median. And whatever trees grow in there, they have to be cut back, and they have to be cut back also on the ones on the side that are actually on the right of way. What I had a concern about is when those trees become mature, are they going to entangle like they were before in the whole canopy, and then that whole canopy area is shaded, making that area dark? And does that lead to water issues in the median itself and other issues? So, ultimately, I would love to be able to for us to put something there and make it look nice, because I think that that's a benefit to everybody. But whatever it is, we've got to be able to make sure that it's maintained, and it's not going to cause our guys extra work and our other taxpayers, the extra income, the expenses either. So.
Right. And I foresee two issues, one to each side of your comment. Community project could fail, could be a loss of interest. We could plant $1,000 worth of trees, and in 4 years we're replacing those again because they're dead. And if we choose not to replace them, we're all back visiting with each other again. Right? So ultimately, what do we do with it?
Well, we don't want to set a precedent either.
We've already done that though by buying a sign.
Yeah.
So let's just be aware of that. Sine, I'm sorry, you had your hand
No,
up.
that's okay. And I apologize if I missed it. Weren't we pursuing if any of these areas were covered by insurance? Did that get done?
No, no. Yeah,
We were looking-
Trustee
looking
Costanza had made a
discussion.
comment that
Okay.
these particular areas were not on the insurance, and normally they necessarily wouldn't be because they're not ours, right? Now this particular situation is different because it's in our median, right, in our right of way of road.
Yeah. So
So if we did, ultimately we could make that argument to do so, is to have it added to insurance.
None of the signage in any of the neighborhoods is currently under insurance.
Okay, thank you.
No, sir, you cannot. I'm sorry, Larry. Yeah.
Would you ask me a question so I can answer you directly?
Sir, I will ask you a question. I'll give you 60 seconds. All right? What is it you would like to address with me personally?
I think you're misunderstanding what was proposed. Not yet have you understood. We're not proposing grass. It ain't gonna get killed. The original trees were not killed by salt. They were killed by poison. And we were proposing rocks as we decided to work with this for a year and a half, trying to come up with a better solution with less maintenance than wood standards. So please, we want to make you understand that you're still installing things that ain't true, okay?
I don't have enough
I,
history.
you
on
know,
it to-
I want to be very, very respectful. I think we should just finish this conversation for right now and maybe continue it again in the future. And sir, I would be more than happy to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with you and your neighbors. And let's have a discussion about this. And then let's do some of the background work before we all come and sit back down in the room again. Does that sound fair?
It sounds fair, but we've done that background work, you're asking.
But you're working with the new trustee now. I've been here since April. All right. So I bring a little different personality.
You call me or should I call you?
You can call me sir.
I did have a question. So I'm hearing that the residents formulated a plan. Do we have that plan? Has anybody seen it outside of the dollar figure? I've never seen it.
So trustee Goings had gotten an item, kind of a layout of what Larry had proposed, and there was a list of materials that was proposed. I did not bring that forward to the board after we were first on the non-HOA issues.
Yep.
And so if the board would like that, I'd be more than happy to send it out so that you
I
can
just
see it.
remember a few months ago, we voted on replacing the sign, and then there was a couple other signs that were brought forward for State Street. Correct?
No, we had talked about all of the non-HOA entrances throughout town.
Assessments.
But this
Yeah.
is more than just the sign, right? This is the whole.
The
like,
whole,
Correct.
meeting
yeah.
area.
Yeah,
And
this is-
I agree with you. Trustee Vance, I haven't seen the proposal either. I think it would be valuable because it sounds like that's what the residents are wanting to present to, that's what they want, right? Is the proposal that was created before.
I would like to educate on what they're asking us.
Me too.
And
I don't know.
just
don't
so I
know the
can
history.
understand it.
At this point, then, given the direction of the discussion, perhaps a member of the board would like to have this added to a future agenda for either the October 22nd or to give Trustee Allgood time to meet with the neighbors, maybe a November meeting.
I would think probably the end of November, the first part of December would be adequate. That will give us enough time to meet, have some conversation, do some research. Let me have conversation with the Public Works Director, and we can talk with some of the board members and see if we can come to a solution before we come back into the room. I'm all for it. If we have a problem, let's have a solution at the same time we present the problem.
We'll add this then to the agenda for the first meeting in December.
Thank you.
Motion to discuss Lions Park agreement.
Move to discuss Lions Park agreement.
Motion by Dan,
Second?
second by Mark. Sine, would you like to lead off on this one?
I'd ask council to lead, please.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to. If that's okay.
I asked.
That's okay. Okay. As the board may recall, I did send out the previous draft of the agreement that had been circulating in 2023 between the village and Lions Club regarding Lions Park. There were a number of questions that some of the board members had with regard to what really has been happening with the sports income and concession income that is generated from the use of these facilities. I did pose those questions to the Lions Club and was provided that information that we received. I believe that it got pushed out to all members of the board also, but we did get those numbers. They are included in your packet. Since that time, I've had an opportunity to speak with Trustee Costanza and Trustee Hubbard about reinstituting discussions again about a successor agreement. It's my opinion that there is no agreement in place at present. I do not believe that this agreement is a type of agreement that can extend beyond the tenure of the then sitting village president, and there hasn't been an agreement entered into between the Village of Poplar Grove and the Lions Club in many, many, many years, although both parties have continued to operate and work hand in hand with regard to improvements to the fields and improvements to the park and the walking path and such. So at this point, I have received, as a follow-up to the conversation regarding a successor agreement, I did receive some comments today from Trustee Hubbard and from Trustee Costanza of what they would like to see in a successor agreement. I can run through those for the board if you'd like to hear those.
Yes, please.
There was discussion in the communication about potentially having some nominal charge in the agreement just to show that it is a partnership, a license agreement between the parties, even if it's just a ceremonial dollar, so that there's something that at least recognizes that. A requirement for a basic annual financial report and a year-end summary, probably similar to what we received. Making sure that the revenue that's generated on village-owned property either goes back into that village-owned property or back into the programs that are being supported by the village-owned property. Requesting a copy of the 990, defining the insurance requirements further in the agreement, formally defining what is a permitted use of the land. So what exactly can occur on the property in terms of programming, defining perhaps some restricted activities, points of communication for requests for improvement and requests for repair, defining clearly the ownership of the structures on the property. It does sound like there has been something that has perhaps been moved onto the property that is owned by the club and not by the village, so making that clear in the agreement. Defining the term, ensuring that the agreement flows with the term of the then sitting village president, and then have it renewed every 4 years thereafter. And then a termination clause of some sort for both parties. So those were the comments that I received. Many of these things would need to be addressed in draft language. We've not received any comments from the club in terms of what they would like to see in a successor agreement, other than the club was very clear that they would be more than happy to sit down and talk to members of the board about a successor agreement going forward.
Thanks, Roxanne. My primary concern is that, as she stated, we don't really have an agreement right now in place, and for the protection of the village assets that the taxpayers pay for, I feel like we need to have a formal agreement in place of some sort.
I concur. There are some villages. I did have a conversation with very nice woman who's a clerk in another village not far, and they have village-owned parks. And one of those parks does have an agreement made with the third party. And the way that agreement is structured is the third party says, we would like to be able to do this in the park. That, of course, is going to generate revenue for our not-for-profit, so on and so forth. In turn, this is a list of items on a schedule that we are going to do to improve the park. And it's a pretty regimented schedule. Say, year one, we are going to have this type of activity, and at the end of year one, these are the items that we're going to renew or add to the park. And it works its way through the agreement. Now, bear in mind, if you violate the agreement is null and void. My only concern with entering into an agreement like that is, are we providing the best protection for our children? I mean, would the village have more strength in vetting background checks? Would the village have more of a foothold on personal injury and liability? Currently, if somebody got hurt at the park, who is holding the ball? Is it the Lions Club? Is it the Village of Poplar Grove? Who is ultimately responsible? Concession stand. You're serving food to the public. Ultimately, who is the one that should be required to be working with the health department for their annual inspections and their permit? The village or the Lions Club? See, these are all things that come to mind, and to me, I want to see a park that can thrive. I want to see a park that everybody can use, including the Lions Club, including the baseball teams that were turned away. I would like to see some joint effort, but I would really, really like to see some accountability, some absolute accountability. Who is responsible for what? Who is accountable for what? And who is going to be standing there when it's time to answer the hard questions? That's what I would like to see.
So the list of items that Roxanne or council listed off, I feel like generalize a lot of the items that you're concerned about. But if you have additional requirements that you'd like to see her draft,
I haven't seen the draft.
I don't think she's drafted anything.
I haven't even
It's-
seen what you said. So.
She just read off what I sent her, but I feel like let's start somewhere. broad,
Absolutely.
even if it has to be, because, you know, some of the things that you described are there, it's getting a little intricate, right?
Yes.
But let's try to get something in place, something that we feel is agreeable, something that, you know, fosters a partnership.
Is there a consensus then from the board that I take these comments that I received and then the comments from today and I'll
Correct.
put together a draft?
I concur to that.
Any other comments?
Owen, did you want to make a comment on this?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. So I agree with, first and foremost, we've been trying for the last decade to have an agreement with the Lions part. You do this, we do that. You know, any relationship has that. It's changed in the last 10 years. And if they're willing to sign an agreement identifying all of that with something holding them to it, that's great. That's a great start. You know, we just have to look at best practices as intended as a partner. I mean, we discovered that the email that was sent to us that a sign was installed. That's part of the access. We be involved in any changes. We've said that many times. Which brings to mind the question of, I don't believe that promise of 4 years ago was that container that was allowed to be put there was ever completed. David is there, I heard earlier, right? Did that get painted? Did that get painted
He's-
in that shed like it was
He's
supposed to be?
asking, Trustee Costanza is asking about the container and did the promises that were made by the club with regard to the maintenance of that container, were those followed?
I don't remember what the request was.
I do.
It was painted white.
Did you hear that, Owen?
No, I did not.
He said it was built up and it was painted white.
Can I request
great.
that we
So
not,
I think the last meeting discussion was done, so that doesn't.
Owen,
Oh,
agree
Owen?
together.
Sine has a comment.
I'm sorry, Owen, I really want us to be able to move forward. I understand there's a lot of things that happened in the past, but dwelling on them is really not productive.
She's indicated that, and it's her opinion that it's time to move past the things that have happened in the past and not dwell on those and just move forward with putting together a successor agreement.
I did have an additional
We
comment.
always do background checks, so many clients, many, but I just, you know, that's why we need the agreement. We do this, we do that. So in that email communication, they didn't say anything that they wanted to change the agreement. We could add these things and then see where it goes. But I think we need to put a time limit on this for all the fall activities coming to the fields.
Little clarity on that.
Oh, wait,
Go ahead.
before Mark wanted to make a comment.
It's my understanding that the old agreement that we have is no longer valid. Is that correct?
I don't
Not-
believe
I-
it is
I don't-
legally
We've never seen the
enforceable.
signed agreement.
So my fear is us operating without an agreement is more liability than I think I really do think we need to move forward on this, and try and get a equitable agreement between us and the club. The sooner the better, because I feel that operating without one is just more liability to the village and possibly the club. So it would benefit both of us if we move forward. And Dave, some of these questions that you were asking are valid, great points, but I think that would be more of the next stage after we get a draft. And then we can present that, and then we can negotiate, with the club after we have a draft and after we start going down and doing some of those fact findings, right? But
Right, but like,
I would like to definitely move forward, is what I would like to do.
right.
Wait,
Just to address your comment briefly, we have the fiduciary responsibility of taking care of village-owned property.
Yep.
So, yeah, I have to ask the hard questions, and that's what I will continue to do.
Perfect.
Dan?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm fine as a stepping stone. But I wanted to clarify the container was actually purchased by the junior tackle, and I believe they were volunteering to paint it. I don't believe that was the Lions Club's direction. And I don't even think they purchased it. If memory serves, it was purchased by junior tackle for their equipment for storage. I just wanted to clarify. I don't think Lions had anything to do with that.
That's fine. Like I said, I feel like let's move past it, but also one of the things that I had asked council to consider in the draft is a better lines of communication. So like things that are requested of Public Works or things that are done or requested to be done for maintenance is communicated to all of us so that we're all aware of, what the requests are and what, what's needed and, what the next steps might be so that we're all on the same page. So we have a better open line of communication.
so at this point, we're all in consensus for the draft for legal then. Great.
I have a last question.
Go ahead, Owen.
A resident was watching texted me and said that the container was painted white when it was delivered and the agreement was painted next to the shed. I don't recall. Maybe David should remember that.
He doesn't recall.
Okay, I can check with him if he'll remember that.
Yep, no, he doesn't recall.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Ready to move on, folks?
Yes.
Okay, motion to discuss and approve ordinance 2025-26, an ordinance of the Village of Poplar Grove, Illinois, amending section 582, code hearing division established, and section 5812, judgment on findings, decision order, and article 5, chapter 8, code enforcement hearing division established.
Move to discuss and approve ordinance 2025-26.
Motion by Dave.
Second.
Second by Dan. Council, would you
Yep.
just recap
This
this
is
for us?
just a update to our code of ordinances, adapting division 2.1, which now with the change to Illinois law allows our findings, decision, and order that are issued by the administrative hearing officer to be executed in as if they're a judgment, just as if they're a judgment in circuit court. So it's just cleaning up the code.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
David Allgood,
Yes.
Owen Costanza,
Yes.
Jeff Goings, Mark Vance,
Yes.
Sine Hubbard, Dan Cheek.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-26 passes. All right, moving on. Motion to discuss and approve check disbursement for payment scheduled to be paid October 9th, 2025 in the amount of $31,121.28 in AP checks, $34,506 $1,000.79 in EFTs, no insurance. Estimated payroll is $20,916.34 for a total of $86,544.41.
Move to approve total disbursements of $86,544.41.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Mark. Any questions? What you will see, I just will point out, is that you will see that change in the balance of AP checks to EFTs based on the EFT policy that we passed. And so these are scheduled. So they have not technically been paid yet. So they're on your invoice registers.
Mhm.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Mark Vance.
Yes.
Owen Costanza.
Yes, and if I excuse myself, because you guys still have a quorum, if I can always.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, it's hard for me to hear everybody. I'm reception. So I apologize.
David Allgood,
Yes.
Jeff Goings, Sine Hubbard.
Okay.
And just for the record, then Trustee Costanza exited the meeting at 8:01 p.m.
We still have a quorum.
We do.
Yes. Check disbursements for $86,541.41 passes. Motion to discuss hiring policy.
Move to discuss hiring policy.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Dan. All right. What I had done, I drafted a memo to everyone. What I did is I looked at the repealed ordinance 2024-21 that laid out a potential hiring policy and gave my suggestions on areas that we should look at as a whole. And so, I mean, I ultimately think that this is a good place to start. Yeah, sorry, I'll scroll. A good place to start, but I don't know that it needs to come back as an ordinance. I think an internal policy by resolution would be more than sufficient. There's a few places where it doesn't specify a minimum amount of time for job postings, which I know that we've had discussions at this level, and previous administrations and boards have had comments on how long we should post things for. There's some words and some language that I wasn't really that keen on in terms of like the word may. I think we need to decide if we're going to have a hiring committee, and then the circumstances in which it should be done. Selection and offering. So basically, I just want to let you guys kind of talk it out and see what you think, because we'd like to implement it ultimately as we're looking for a treasurer. So. Okay, I mean, well,
But is this the final proposal then?
this is just a memo stating the areas that I think we should look at and why I think we should look at them. It's not ultimately an actual final draft. I'm just bringing up based on the repealed ordinance that we pulled back.
When was this drafted?
So the original ordinance was passed in 2024-21 on December the 11th of 2024. We repealed it in June when we were addressing all of the other repeals of ordinances. And then when we went to need to appoint the interim treasurer, being sickage. So knowing that we were going to bring it back. If you're not prepared, that's fine. We can.
You're suggesting we don't make this an ordinance, right?
I'm suggesting that a policy is more than sufficient, but I mean, ultimately the board can decide. But we can still use the kind of the framework, if you will, to create the policy.
I would just like a little bit more.
And then do you want to make a motion so that we lay it over until October 22nd? Right?
Yes.
But we can motion and lay it over and bring it back.
Yeah, okay. I move to lay this topic over for the hiring policy until our October 22nd.
We have a motion by Sine,
I'll second.
second by Dave. Can we have a roll call, please?
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Mark Vance.
Yes.
David Allgood,
Yes.
Sine Hubbard.
Okay, this item is laid over until October 22nd.
And I'm sorry, who made the second on that motion?
I
Hey.
had Dave.
Damn.
Me, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, fast writing. It's okay, right. Motion to discuss West Grove Park improvements.
Move to discuss West Grove Park improvements.
Motion by Dan, second by Sine. All right, I'm gonna lead this one off. Dave, why don't you lead this? Are you gonna lead this one off? Yeah, jump in here. Yeah, can't hear. Just turn it up. Just turn it up. Right, something, so we can hear you. Just turn the temperature up, Dave, so it doesn't kick in. Just put,
Hit it with a hammer.
this is a man thing. Just turn up the temperature. I didn't see you go over to that side of the thing. I was out, you're down here, like it's over there. Sorry, take it away, Mr. Howe.
Money for West Grove Park improvements. With these improvements, we determined that additional playground equipment was probably best served in that area, because you guys know it's a fairly large parcel. And right now it has playground equipment that's really only conducive for tots.
Yeah.
It's not multi-age group. There is a lot of activity at that park. We looked at something that would be better served for, older kids, preteens, I mean, even teenagers, if that's what they're doing. We also decided that'd be a good time to take care of, or to utilize the game time grant match for this, set of playground equipment. So ultimately, we came up with the design that you guys see in the packet, which in total came into around, $60,000, give or take. That's obviously over what we had initially budgeted. We also saved around $15,000 in the Sherman Oaks restoration by doing it in-house. So we thought it'd be best served to kick that to West Grove. In talking to our game time rep, he came up with kind of a budget solution here where we can purchase the equipment, taking advantage of the match that's actually due next week. We would get the equipment paid up front. And the reality of the timing of all this, it's gonna roll into the next budgetary cycle anyway. And we would do the install sometime in May, and that part would be within that next budget cycle. And we could address the overflow at.
You'll see too that there's some additional potential cost savings as well by doing the rubber mulch in-house like we did at Sherman. And that'll also have a slight reduction in the overall installation cost as well.
Yeah, we could the mulch roughly in half.
Yeah, so it would be a pretty good savings on that side of it. But then this equipment, yeah, definitely serves a larger group, and the way it's placed is it's kind of, it attaches to the existing play structure. So you're making one larger play structure area, and then has the set for climbing and so on. And then there's a set of swings that would be out there as well. So, and then there's still ample space. This is a very large park parcel. It's at over 3 acres. So there's still plenty of room to do other additional things out at that park in time as the board sees fit.
With this design, essentially creating a smaller individual parcel for the current structures we have out there, which is a pavilion, some benches, a restroom enclosure, and the current set of playground. We basically make that into one smaller parcel, and then to the west side, you would still have open green space that we could develop in a different way in the future, or make additional spaces, while kind of maintaining flow and structure without, a piece here, a piece here, and a piece there type of setup.
Can you recall when the last time this particular park had seen any updates or upgrades?
I believe it was 2 years before I 2015-ish, 14, 15. And then the pavilion and benches were added. COVID.
Yeah, 20. I was,
2021, is when those were installed.
so, I know we touched on this briefly the last time I spoke with you. So it's pay for the equipment up front, pay for the install next budget year. And I couldn't remember, we got to take delivery on it and store it, or they hold it?
No, so basically we'll pay for the equipment and nothing really changes with the purchase process. We're paying for the equipment on a separate invoice, to be able to utilize that, 80% grant match.
Yeah.
And then when the time comes for install, they bring everything out, everything is done at that time. It really just so happens that the timeline we're working with pushes this install into that next budget cycle anyway. Obviously, if this is something we looked at doing in June, we'd be looking at a different timeline where the install probably would have got completed in the fall. But with their current schedule and the weather, it's gonna have to get pushed to spring anyway. So what we'd be doing is just paying for that equipment up front to be able to utilize the grant.
When is the grant match expired? Is that,
October 15th, I believe, 15th or 16th, somewhere there, next week.
so I guess, the motion was to discuss, not to approve, right?
Right, it's
So-
just for discussion. If
So how do we get this locked in so we could,
You just give, a consensus on how you want to proceed, and then obviously the bill would come back in your monthly warrants.
And in purchasing the equipment is within what was budgeted for that area.
okay, great. Thank you.
Is there a consensus to proceed?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. All right. Motion to discuss resolution 2025-24, resolution of the Village of Poplar Grove, Illinois, approving and authorizing the village president to execute settlement agreements with Louis Tenure Jr. and Kristen Lee Tenure respectively.
Move to approve Resolution 2025-24.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Dan.
President Richardson?
Yes.
If I could, this matter, it will require, it has a need to be laid over. The signed settlement agreements have not been received back yet from the two parties. So we'll need a motion to move this to the October 22nd meeting, if we could, please.
So moved.
Motion by Dave.
Second.
Second by, it's close. Dan. All right. Roll call.
Mark Vance,
Yes.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Sine Hubbard. Yes. David Allgood.
Yes.
Okay, this item's been laid over to October 22nd. Go to the Village Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, October 14th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Board of Trustee meeting, October 22nd, 2025, 7 p.m. Trick or treating, October 31st, 2025, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Board of Trustee meetings, November 12th, 2025, 7 p.m. Motion to go into executive session pursuant to 5 Illinois CS 120/2C11 to discuss litigation when an action against affecting on or behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the bias for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
Move to go into executive session pursuant 5 ILCS 120/2C11.
Motion by
Second.
Dave, second by Sine. Roll call.
Mark Vance,
Yes.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Sine Hubbard, David Allgood.
Okay, we are entering into executive session at 8:14 p.m. Wednesday, October 8th. have to send it to me because I'll be having Eric's got surgery in the morning. So if you could, yeah, that's fine. Do that. Okay.
Do we turn these
Yeah,
off?
just no, you should just mute it.
Okay.
You just mute it. You should turn it.
Yep.
Would you?
Yes.